Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It's Wednesday, October the 22nd. I'm Andrew Gagan. The local market is set to open lower with ASX futures off 0.5%. Global stocks were mostly higher overnight while gold and silver prices plunged. This as President Trump said he expected to reach a fair deal with Chinese President Xi Jinping when the two meet next week in South Korea. US stocks were mixed with the Dow boosted by solid earnings results while microchip stocks dragged the Nasdaq lower. The S&P finishing flat. Netflix missed Wall Street third quarter earnings targets because of an unexpected expense from a dispute with Brazilian tax authorities. Its operating margin for the third quarter came in at 28%, while its forecast fourth quarter revenue of $11.96 billion was slightly above expectations. General Motors shares surged after the carmaker lifted its forecast and tempered its anticipated tariff hit. Coca-Cola shares rose after solid consumer demand drove its better than expected results, while diversified manufacturer 3M also advanced after hiking its full-year forecast, bolstered by its focus on high-margin products. Aerospace and defence companies Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman and RTX all raised their forecasts, benefiting from solid demand for defence materiel. Shares of Warner Brothers Discovery surged after the company announced it's considering an outright sale, citing interest from several potential buyers, but late in the session the board rejected an offer from Paramount Skydance. And shares of the gold miners fell heavily, tracking a sharp drop in bullion prices. Well, President Trump has said the forthcoming meeting with China's President Xi at the APEC summit in South Korea later this month would result in a good deal, but then added that the talks may not eventuate. He said, "I've got a great relationship with President Xi. I expect to be able to make a good deal with him. I want to make a good deal for China, but it's got to be fair. Maybe it won't happen. Things can happen where, for instance, maybe someone will say, I don't want to meet. It's too nasty," but really it's not nasty, it's just business. Meanwhile, Bloomberg is reporting that European nations are working with Ukraine on a 12-point proposal to end Russia's war along current battle lines. According to the report, a peace board chaired by President Trump would oversee implementation of the proposed plan. And global money managers are revisiting Japan's stock and debt markets, drawn by the promise of its new reflationist government, led by the country's newly elected Prime Minister, Sane Takaichi, the first woman to take the top job. Well, US Treasuries rose for a second straight session, pushing their yields lower with the perceived easing of US-China trade tensions helping sort bids for Treasuries. The US 2-year falling to 3.44%, the 10-year at 3.95%. The US dollar index was up around 0.5% on the day. The Aussie dollar is back below 65 US cents, and Argentina's peso has fallen to a record low despite efforts by US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in his foreign exchange intervention. Well, oil prices have bounced off previous sessions' 5-month lows as investors reassess expectations of a looming supply glut and on the prospect of a trade deal between the US and China. Brent crude futures at $61 a barrel. Copper has fallen 1.5%, iron ore flat at $103 a tonne, and precious metal prices have plunged, with gold down more than 5%, its biggest one-day fall since 2020. A strong US dollar appeared to be the catalyst for investors to take profits, with gold having appreciated around 56% since the beginning of the year. Spot gold is around $4,125 an ounce, while the silver price has fallen around 7%. And Bitcoin is trading at around $111,000. No local data today, while on the corporate calendar, quarterly updates are expected from Atlas Arteria, Aluka Resources, Mirvac and Woodside Energy, and AGMs are scheduled for Adairs, Coden, Fletcher Building, Magellan Financial, REA Group and Reliance Worldwide. That is your day ahead. See you again tomorrow.